So I will start by presenting what land grabs are, what they do. It means why are they a governance issue, both globally and in Senegal, and trying to analyze the causes of the problem, and I will end by the solutions. So what are land grabs? According to the International Land Coalition, land grab has to do one or more of the following. First, it has to violate human rights. Second, it has to flout the principle of free, prior, and informed consent of land users. It also has to ignore the impact on social, economic, and gender relations and on the environment. It also has to avoid transparent contracts with clear and binding commitments on employment and benefit sharing. And finally, it has to eschew democratic planning, independent oversight, and meaningful participation. So what this definition means that there will never be a consensus on what land grabs are. And even the term land grab is very politically charged. So when you see the World Bank and so on, they will more put the focus on investment, saying that these are acquisitions and they are beneficial for structural transformation in Africa. And civil society will be more likely to use the term land grabbing. So there is no consensus on the drivers of land grabs. There are people who say it's a result of a triple crisis, like economic and financial crisis, environmental crisis, energy crisis. There are other people who say that they are the result of the strategies that our states have chosen for their development. So whether it is industrialization, urbanization projects, etc. So now I will turn on, so what we see when we look at the literature is that the focus has been on what, meaning what a land grab is, who are the grabbers, where are the grabbing happening, and there is no there is an emerging literature on what the impacts are. So what I'm proposing here is to define why land grabs are a governance problem globally. So it is because on the one hand, we have the struggle over the control over resources. So whether it is national investors, the state, corporate investors, and there is no dichotomy really, because all these actors just want the land because it is seen as a new strategic asset. So because oil is, so there is a displacement from oil to land, because it is seen as a secure asset to be had. And then you have the contested authority over institutions. So who nationally and internationally has the authority to decide for the management of the land, the governance issue? Who, between the state, local authorities with decentralization that we see, transnational issues, since we are seeing in the global governance a shift from the Westphalian conception of states are being the authorities on their territories, and then the non-state actors gaining more and more power, and transnational actors as well, with terrorism movements and so on. And then you have the issue around information and transparency of the land deal. So information is key because it is one of the aspects that is lacking. So what about Senegal? Senegal has been was independent in 1960 from France. And the problem is that we had land management system which was based on traditional leadership of the Laman. It means the priest, the earth priest. They were in charge, whether you are in the Syrian society, the Pular society, they were in charge of managing the land. Then you have colonization and Islam, and you have the shift from these communally ways of owning land to the state, and before the state, the colonial deciding that the land had to be productively used without saying what productive use means. It means that you will see the concept of hidden land being developed without a definition of it. You will see the concept of empty and plentiful land. And then, on the second hand, you have economic development and the development model we have. So our state is encouraging investment in agriculture as a way to realize structural transformation. And then you have politics. Since 2007, 2008, our president, our former president, Abdoulaye Wade, has launched special initiatives in the agriculture in order to promote youth employment, because there is a lot of young people leaving Senegal to go to Spain, etc. And even just for national self-sufficiency, because he was very ambitious, but most of this deal resulted in his political entourage benefiting from those deals.
You need to conclude now.
Religious leaders. So the solutions, quickly, there are two sets of solutions, and I'm proposing that there is no easy set fix of blanket solutions. So there are responses from above. So there are three sets of responses. Those governance mechanisms that regulate to facilitate, such as the 2002 FAO voluntary guidelines on responsible governance. Then you have the 2014 AU and ECA guiding principle on large-scale land-based investment. And the third of these principles is on good governance. And then you have the second aspect, which is the second set of rules, which are to regulate, to mitigate negative impacts. This is the point defended by the World Bank, who put the focus on inclusive institution, transparency, etc. And then you have those who want governance mechanism to regulate, to stop, and roll back land grabs. And this is a point defended by La Via Campesina, for example. These are the radical movements who are for food self-sufficiency and so on. And nationally, we have from above, from below, the government is from above. But there is too much focus on the government and not enough, as you were saying yesterday, on bottom-up approaches. So there is a need to empower civil society, there is a need to reconstitute investment chains, to understand where the money is going and who is benefiting, and also to investigate impact, to know that it is differentiated. You can't just say that it is the big corporate that are benefiting and not local populations, because it's simply not true. If it is happening, it's because people are benefiting.
Thank you.
Thank you.